In the past week, I've really been studying the Bible. Bible passages are coming to me in a new light, like Revelation 19 in the Bible, I believe indicates that the King James Bible will be the Bible of the Antichrist. You need to check out my Bible study at gabrielchana.com, GabrielleChana.com, and click on the link that addresses the King James only issue at my opening web page, and I've spent hours writing an article about. I'm doing Bible study at my website, and I'm going through the Bible on my own with a new perspective as a result of what Jesus has told me about the King James Bible. I think it's kind of ironic that it appears that the King James Bible will be the Bible of the Antichrist, because Gail Ripplinger, in her book New Age Bible Versions, claims that the New International Version and the New American Standard Bible are paving the way for the Antichrist, when I believe that it's going to be the King James Bible that will be the Bible of the Antichrist. Besides, you judge a tree by its fruits, and these King James only leaders lie. They tried to kill Vladimir Putin when he was working on my computer to take some of the viruses and bugs out of my computer that they had put into my computer. And they've also taken over the company that I was using to clean my registry, Cyber Defender. It used to be called Cyber Defender. And Vladimir said they took over Cyber Defender, and many of those companies were putting bugs and corruption into my the software that I was using, I guess, to clean my register. So Vladimir told me to take it all out, that he's going to do, Vladimir Putin said he's going to do all the cleaning for both of my computers. He said he removed all the evil virus software out of the computers. And Vladimir said that while he was going into my computer to working on it, that the King James only people were trying to fight him. They even sent a ninja in an attempt to assassinate him while he was trying to remove bugs out of my computer, because I've granted Vladimir access to my computer to work on my computer, and he had to kill the person. It was that or they'd kill him. They were trying to assassinate him while he was trying to fix my computer. He said the ninja guy was a King James only person, and he was dressed all in black. And Vladimir has also set up file sharing over a network for my computer, and I've already been using it so that I can share files between my two computers. And these King James only people have been polluting my air with pollen, using very advanced technology that they got from the Gail Android. And they're punishing me because I use and promote other Bibles besides the King James. You need to go to my website and check out my Bible study on Revelation 19, because it strongly indicates that the King James Bible may be the Bible of the Antichrist. You know, I was shocked that I made Jesus really angry in October 2012 when I told him that I thought the King James Bible was God. You say, where'd you get that from? Well, in John 1:1, it says that Jesus is the Word, and the Word is God. So I logically concluded that the King James Bible had to be God. And Jesus said, no, I am the source. I said, well, Jesus, what about Psalm 12:6 and 7, where it says you promised to preserve your words, plural, 7 times? Doesn't that mean that the King James Bible, they say the King James Bible went through a 7-fold purification process, like 7 translations before it became the King James. Isn't that verse referring to the King James? And he says, and because it's words, plural, that means every single word is divinely inspired, that it's the perfect, inerrant word of God in the English and the King James. And Jesus said, no, what that verse means is I will preserve my word even into the tribulation, and that I can do it perfectly, or 7 times. So apparently the 7 times was not referring to the King James. It was just referring to the Word of God in general. And 7 is the divine number. Jesus said, nobody can perfectly emulate what I have to say. So all translations have a little bit of error in them. And he said, all translations translated accurately from the earliest manuscripts are fine with him. And Jesus had to spend 2 hours with me because I did not want to give up my idol, the King James Bible. I had read it from cover to cover over 100 times. And yes, here I was debating with God himself over my idol. It took Jesus 2 hours to convince me that I was wrong to worship the King James Bible. And I probably wouldn't have even listened to him then if I didn't have a 1-year relationship with him prior to that. So he had a chance to build up some trust in me and answer some prayers for me in a mighty way to let me know that I was speaking with the real Jesus. Like this yeast infection that I have, only Jesus could heal it, and it's getting better. He's using Seroquel. So I knew I was talking to the real Jesus, so that helped me to be open to what he had to say. But it was a real blow to my spiritual ego that my love for the King James Bible aggravated him. He said, Gail, you love that Bible more than you love me. It's like if one of your men loved your sex dummy more than you. Well, that's how I feel. So I said, Jesus, well, this is a head problem, not a heart problem. Because, Dr. Bob Jones Sr. said that if you'll give God your heart, he'll comb the kinks out of your head. He said, no, Gail, this is a heart problem. You worship that Bible over me. That King James Bible is your idol. You're guilty of idol worship. Oh my goodness, I never believed Jesus would get on me for worshiping the King James Bible. Jesus said, no, Gail, Westcott and Hort were not Roman Catholic devil worshippers. So I thought, you mean they lied to me? They weren't? What about that verse that says you put your word above all your name in Psalm 138:2? He said that verse is there because the King James Bible mistranslated my name, and I don't care. That's why I said that. It doesn't matter to me whether people get my name right. Wow, that means all these interpretations that I've heard from preachers about all these verses has been wrong. I said, yes, preachers are human. They make mistakes. So after my meeting with Jesus, I started reading these other versions at blueletterbible.com along with the King James for my devotions. And I hated to admit it, but that old English really was hindering me from understanding some parts of the Bible. And reading my King James and New Living Bibles together made the Bible really come alive to me. On my own, I learned that the King James was translated, and then the Textus Receptus was created to show the world which Bible manuscripts were used to create the King James. In other words, the Textus Receptus came after the King James was translated, not before. So therefore, you couldn't use the Textus Receptus like all these King James only leaders said as the basis for the divine manuscripts. I began listening to some theologians on the other side and realized that the King James only leaders lied to me. Gail Ripplinger, whose book, New Age Bible Versions, I've read from cover to cover, that's this one right here, they said her documentation was faulty, that if you bothered to look up her sources, and look at all these footnotes. This is all footnotes here in the back, right there. If you look in here, she's got like 1, 2, 3. She has like tons of footnotes. Just this is index, but this is like, it looks like 50 pages worth of footnotes. Look at this. This is all footnotes. And, maybe it looks pretty impressive. You see page after page of footnotes, so you think, wow, all this documentation to prove that the King James Bible is the Word of God. I mean, this is all footnotes. Look at this. So that's what got me. I never bothered to look up the footnotes, though. If you bother to look up her sources, she lied about Westcott and Hort. That's what these other theologians say. And the footnotes she used to back up her defense of the King James Bible did not say what they said. Fred Butler, he went to John MacArthur's seminary, said he actually had a library at a seminary where he could look up some of the sources in her footnotes, and they stated opposite what she said. In other words, she just assumed nobody would bother to check her footnotes, and she just wanted to wow everyone with all the volumes and volumes of footnotes in her book, and they didn't say what she said they said. She was just so obsessed with defending the King James Bible that she slapped sources and footnotes into her book that she didn't bother to look up, or she was lying, or she was just misrepresenting to the world what these footnotes were saying. So I learned that the biggest problem about the 2-line manuscript argument is that, they say there's two main lines of manuscripts. There's a Roman Catholic corrupt line, and then the line that produced the King James, which is the Textus Receptus. But like I said, the Textus Receptus came after the King James. So there's a problem right there. So you can't assume the majority. It's too simplistic. James White goes into this. The majority text is not necessarily the most accurate, because you can't assume that all manuscripts from Egypt are evil just because there were evil teachers in Egypt. That would be like saying that any book written in San Francisco had to be homosexual because because it was from San Francisco, even if a straight guy wrote it. Or that any book written in Jerusalem, even if written by an atheist, had to be godly because it was from Jerusalem. You see the fallacy in their arguments? First off, there are not just two main lines of Bible. It's much more complicated than that. Just about every Bible out there that is a good translation has come from hundreds of lines of manuscripts, and the translators use textual criticism to pick and choose which manuscripts represented the most, to put into their translation. And they found that many of the manuscripts from Egypt, which they say were the corrupt Roman Catholic line, were the most accurate because there was a lot of persecution in Egypt in the early days of Christianity. My lighting here. And they had to hide their manuscripts really well, which explains why there weren't many manuscripts from Egypt. But the ones from Egypt are older than the ones that comprise most of the King James, because those manuscripts that comprise the King James were Byzantine in character. And there were more of these because I believe there was less persecution in Byzantium later. And that explains why there were so many Byzantine manuscripts and so few Egyptian manuscripts. King James only say the majority text has to be more accurate, but they fail to take into consideration that there was a lot of persecution in Egypt, and so that's why there weren't as many manuscripts there. But that doesn't mean the manuscripts from Egypt were not accurate or truer to the originals. By the way, most of the manuscripts that formed the King James were from Roman Catholic translators. And actually the Byzantine manuscripts that comprise the King James were more Roman Catholic than the Alexandrian manuscripts from Egypt. Erasmus, one of the main translators whose work became the King James, was Roman Catholic. So it's unbelievable, the lies and the hypocrisy on the part of these King James only leaders. And it's unbelievable to what extent they will go to promote their idol. I was shocked to learn that King James only were coming to my town to harass me because they were angry at me for obeying Jesus and no longer idolizing the King James Bible. They polluted my air with pollens, put viruses into my computer, would jump all over me when I drove to my car to go shopping or go anywhere, posted my stolen nudes online, which they got from the Gail Android, which she got from Zach Knight, and which he got from private videos he stole from my men. Terrible lighting. I am learning that Bible doctrines that I've gotten from my King James only position, or that I've learned from King James only leaders, have only been about 80% correct. And the areas where I've been wrong have been mostly in minor doctrinal areas, but I'm seeing all Bible passages in a new light, and I no longer believe the English in the King James is more inspired than the originals. I now believe that Revelation 19 strongly indicates that the King James Bible will be the Bible of the Antichrist. Now, I still read the King James Bible, but you know, all forms of idol worship help out the devil, especially if the idol is a Bible. Go check out the Bible study I have in Revelation 19. It's very convincing. I really believe the King James Bible is going to be the Bible of the Antichrist.